everyone, I'm Amy,
And I'm Audrea.
and this is The Right Crowd. So grab a cup of coffee,
Or a cup of tea.
maybe a little something on the rocks, and let's get started. So Audrey and I have discovered a little quainty dink in the book that we're about to discuss. So you get to discover it with us. And the reason is because you'll see it's not our regular kind of book that we're discussing. So we are discussing a writer's book of days. You notice how they're different. So I have the revised edition. She has the original edition.
First word.
And they are not the same.
But they're equally good.
They're fabulous. And I told her as we figured this out 5 seconds ago that I'm going to have to get another book because I need her copy. She has this copy as well. We just didn't realize that the revised edition was different than the original. So,
I thought when she showed hers, I thought they just changed the cover. And both covers, I think, are beautiful. I love how the orange script, flows over the book and everything. And hers just completely different. And this is by Judy Reeves, by the way. So
a scented companion and lively muse with a writing life.
which is pretty cool. So Amy bought this book last year and told me about it. I was like, oh, that sounds good. I'm going to get that book. And then
Bought it 3 years ago. That's how long it's been we've talked about this book.
3 years ago, no way.
Bought it like the middle of 2022.
Oh my word. I don't think okay, anyway. Hey, don't judge us on our TBRs, peeps. We have a lot of them.
We could come to your house and look at yours. It's all
That's
good.
right. Don't make us come over. But if you'd like to snap a pic of your TBR and send it into our newsletter, we'll feature your TBR. Your to be read.
Yes.
On one of our posts. All right. So, and we're going to feature both Amy and my TBR for this channel. Not our, because we have TBR
No.
reads for fiction. I have
let me
TBRs
see.
for work. I have TBRs. It's just
It keeps us freezing.
all right. So, what is this book, Amy?
So this book goes through month by month with writing advice and then writing prompts for every day. In a nutshell, that's what this book is. And it starts with January. And the great thing is you don't have to start it in January. You can start it whenever you want. And the reason I know that I bought this book in 2022 is because in January, I wrote across the word January and I put July 2022.
Oh, that's a cool way to do it, though. Wherever you start.
That's how I was doing it. And it tells you how long I've had this book. And I did start it. And I'm sure that most of you are like me. I'm not going to put Audrey in this basket, but she can put her stuff in the basket if she needs to. Until something is a habit, I have a really hard time making sure that it stays a part of my daily everything. So when I got this back in July 2022, I did do the first week and it was great. I went to the second week and I did the first day. And that's as far as it got. And I know that because what I did then, which I suggest you do, is I got a notebook just for this book.
Oh, is that an Archer and Olive or which one is
It
that?
is not. I know. But remember, I've had this for 3 years, right?
Cheating on Archer and Olive. Okay.
This is before. This is like I was just discovering Archer and Olive. And I wanted to see if I could find a notebook or two that were like Archer and Olive that didn't cost as much as Archer and Olive. I don't like this one as much. It's not bad. But I am an Archer and Olive girl now. So I'm slowly coming around to notebook therapy, but that's a different conversation. So this I got off of Amazon. It is called a smartplanner.co. It's the website. But the reason it's listed as a planner is because they give you a pre-page for your key.
Oh, yes.
And Like they've already got a couple of things set up in the beginning. But yeah, I started and every day I write down the date that I'm doing it, the prompt, and then what my little story is. Been interesting to I can tell that my writing, what I write in the morning in this book, goes along with my attitude. So,
For
just
good or ill. It goes good to know.
my attitude. My attitude for the day colors this. And what I will say is the way I have made this a habit current is in the morning after I've done the stuff with the dogs and I've done my exercising and I've taken my shower, I sit down on my couch and I have a stack next to my chair that I sit in. And it's my journal. It's this that is sitting there, my Bible study that I read every morning, and whatever book Audrey and I are reading. This is like my stack of things I need to do that day. Any of the books I want to read, any of my planner stuff that's in my office. This is the stuff I need to sit down and actually concentrate on before I move on. So this has become before I read or do any of that other stuff, I literally pick this up to get my brain going. And that's how I have been using it.
That is
What
a
about you?
I like that. And speaking of stack, your stack of stuff you do, what Amy just described is sort of habit stacking. So if you guys have watched some of our other videos, you know we're all into the productivity and developing good habits and stuff like that. And so I also, by the way, bought a notebook for mine and I just fell in love with this cover.
Found it.
These are honeycombs.
Oh,
And I bought this at basically a bookstore because I fell in love with this cover. So, and
right.
also I'm out of town, so I don't have any of my stacks of journals that I could have pulled from. And I was like bummed of like, I can't start this until I pull a journal from I just do it. And I didn't want to buy a new journal like what so, but while I was at the store, I fell in love with this cover and I bought this before I bought this, and I'm like, "What am I gonna do with this?" And then I bought this. Well, rebought it because I'm out of town again, and so we were gonna do it on the show, and I wanted the copy, and so I bought it again. Judy Reeves, you're welcome. But that from I bought even though it's an older version, but I did buy the I had purchased this previously, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna use this for the Writer Book of Days, and I know because look how thin that is that I'm going to wind up having
Need
more
a bigger book.
a la Jaws. Yeah, you need a bigger book. I need a bigger journal. I'm gonna wind
Oh, I always think of did you watch the movie Calendar Girls?
not yet. No, I've not seen that
There's one part in it, and when you see it, you'll think of this. Anytime I say you're gonna need bigger blah blah blah, I always think of the scene where they do an older lady's tasteful nudie calendar
one. Ah,
to raise money for someone's husband who has cancer. That's the whole thing. And they have these little tiny cinnamon rolls to cover one lady's bosoms. And they turn around and look at the photographer and they go, "You're going to need bigger buns." Every time I think or say, "You're gonna need bigger," I think, "You're going to need bigger buns."
oh gosh, that's funny. I had that in my list of to be watched,
It
TBW.
is I love it. It is awesome. I love it. Cool.
And I always think whenever I hear that line, you're gonna need a bigger blank. You're gonna need a bigger boat from Jaws.
From Jaws.
All right, so this was written by Judy Reeves, and she is a writer and a teacher. And she wrote this book. And as Amy said, it's got prompts in it. We did an episode on prompts where we talked about roll a prompt. I think that one was last year. But this one gives you prompts for every day of the month. And you can start anywhere. Like if you started in April, you start on that day and you move forward and you do 365 days. Just
Yes.
it's a circle. But you get prompts for every day, and then you get a lesson for that day. It's a lesson for the month, and then you get a lesson for the day, or a lesson for a week. I think it's a lesson.
Right.
They're grouped together. And so I have what I like about these prompts, which some I've talked about how prompts sometimes bug me if I'm in the middle of a project because I only want to write stuff that's related to the project, even though we have learned science says it's science that your brain might need a break so that it can refresh and go back to that. But she says you can use my prompts to write a whole new story, to write, just an essay, or you can use it on a character from one of your projects or on to build a chapter. So you can use the prompts any way you want to. And giving me that freedom to just do what I want with the prompts, I love that. Thank you. That's the way my brain was like. And then I just wrote stuff. There was one day though, one of the prompts was perfect. And I'm going to read that one because it's not going to read the prompt or the whole thing that I wrote, but I have budgeted because I budgeted about a page and a half or 2 pages front and back, depending on the prompt. But there are some prompts I was, I don't know, I probably will just have a half a page from that prompt. But this one prompt I wrote like 4 pages on. So, and
You
it,
just gonna need a bigger book.
I'm going to definitely need a bigger book. But it just happened that that particular prompt was perfect for a scene in my book. So let's go back in and talk about how it's broken down.
I kind of feel like as we do this, like we should also talk about how the 2 books are different
Yes, let's do that.
because we literally just discovered because she asked me how one thing was in my book and I was like, this is how it is in mine. And she's like, no, this is how it is in mine. So all of the things are different. Like, I don't even know if the lessons are the same. Like I don't know. But I will say that every month there is a tip of the month, which they're different in both books. She does have quotes from authors in mind. Does she have quotes from authors in yours?
Yes, she does. Yes.
And then for mine, she does every 5 days is how she breaks it down.
Okay.
And she gives you a lesson. She gives you your 5 things, and then she gives you another lesson, and then she gives you your 5. And that's how she breaks it down. How does she do yours?
So in mine, it's kind of the same, similar. It's similar. So there is a lesson. Let's see how I can show this. So there's a lesson for the month. So like the month of January, it was keep writing, guideline number 1. So there's a whole essay about keep writing, just keep writing. And then for the week, there's a lesson on how to start. And then for the topics, for example, for one of the weeks where the topic was why write by hand, where she explains what other authors have said about it, like Clive Barker and Spalding Gray, and she explains some of the science about writing by hand. She does, let's see if I can get it to show up there. So there are the,
Not really.
can't see with this stupid blur out. There it is. You can
There it
see
is.
the lessons, you just can't read them, but you see they're blocked off in orange. And also there is a tip of the month. And I'm going to read the first tip of the month just because I thought it was brilliant. And I'm going to put it on all my stuff. And you've got to get into the process. The process is liberating. The process is good. You take it word by word, you take it day by day, and you have to not worry so much. Too much. By Robert Stone. So that was the tip of the month for January.
Now, this is where our books differ. My tip of the month: do be kind to yourself. Fill pages as quickly as possible. Double space or write on every single line. Regard every new page as a small triumph. That was Roddy Doyle. Yeah. I will say that it looks like the lessons are the same.
Yes. Okay. The
The
lessons
prompts are different.
which is cool. So she like a whole batch of new prompts when she re-released this book. That's
I mean, which kind of makes sense if you want people to buy the revised edition, you would want to give them different prompts. I mean, it would make sense to me to do that. Okay, so it goes all the way through December. We clearly have not finished it. Um,
we just started.
our plan is to finish it and give you guys updates. It might come in the form of a video and it might come in the form of a Substack. So if you are not subscribed to our Substack, please go find us and subscribe so you can get all the information all the time. What else do you want to say about this one?
Okay, so I want to say some of the topics. So when we do author craft books, it's usually sometimes it's about a plot point or structure or model, like, or it's about a way of writing, like Save the Cat writes a novel, or Romancing the Beats, or all of these craft books. And we've only done this kind of book where it's kind of like I don't know, it's almost a writing mindset, but it's got some craft tips and some practical stuff in here. And that's what I liked about this book. It wasn't just prompts. We talk about I'm the person who likes woo woo, and Amy typically doesn't go in for woo woo. So that's where we differ a little bit. But some of the tips that are in here are like pay attention, go deeper. So they're actually ways to improve your writing, a lot of them. And they're tips for mindset, like the one in coming up for me in March is top 10 fears of writers and top 10 joys of writers. And so since she's a writing instructor and she's written and done anthologies and taught and stuff, so she has a lot of this to inform the writing. And one of them that I'm looking forward is Kiss Your Frogs, guideline number 7 in July. I might read ahead and see that one's, but when I decided whether or not I wanted to get this book, because sometimes Amy and I read books that I'll read a book and she says, nope, that one's not for me. And same thing, Amy will read a book and I'm like, it's not so much. But the books we both like and think will benefit from or think you guys would enjoy hearing about, that's the ones we put on the
Right.
sh And so the each of the topics that she outlines from January to December, there were a lot of them I was like, "Oh, that's great." Like, create your own writing topics and images that haunt you. So, really good nuggets in here that will inform your writing, whether you're writing fiction or memoir or nonfiction, just help you get
All
into yeah, all the things. Just get into the groove of writing on a daily basis and reading about the craft.
She also has sections in here called The Writing Life, where she will give you examples about authors. So these are all names I can't pronounce. So I'm not going to give you that example. Let me find a different one. Like this one is she uses Amy Tan, can pronounce that one. Robert Stone, Sue Grafton, John Barth. Like she just gives you things that have to do with this one is writers on dreaming.
Wow.
And then she also does in each chapter beyond practice. And it's right after she gives you all of your tips, she gives you a beyond practice section. So those are sprinkled throughout as well, which I think is great.
And I think that might be a difference between the first edition or the original edition and the revised edition. 'Cause I don't think I have any writer's life stuff in here.
Oh,
And
really?
in my chapter, I do have a beyond practice. So in January, the beyond practice is a writing date. What's yours?
So this one, so for April,
Oh,
under the writing life, it's writing positions and conditions. Okay.
okay.
So I'm not going to tell you the list, but she
Okay.
has a list for standers. So writers who stand to write,
Okay.
cigar smokers, after long walkers. So they go for a long walk, they come home and write. Liars down. I guess that means they lay down to write.
Oh, okay.
Bathtub soakers. So I don't know if that means they write while they're taking a bath or they brainstorm while they're in the bath. I don't know. But the one that made me just about fall
Okay.
out of my chair, he has 3 writers written down that write in the nude.
Oh,
All right. Sure. Okay. Um, I'm not gonna that's just but that is an option, I suppose. Some
and
of you may be writers in the nude, and that is great for you.
that's right. Okay, so don't tell us who they are, but does she list the names of those people in the book?
Yep.
Okay, so if you want to know who those nude writers are, you will have to buy the book, the new home edition. So there's a teaser for you. Okay, I want to talk about one of the week lessons for April.
Okay.
I
Which
know.
lesson? Which page are we on? Let me see if it.
Uh, the lesson for April 20, the week of April 23.
All right. Let me go. Let me go there. Oh, and our weeks are separate, are different. So it would either be the before or after because my week 23 is actually 21. So
Okay.
what's the lesson? And then I can figure out where
Well,
I'm at.
the lesson is fresh images and how to find them.
Nope. We don't have that lesson in that area. So you just tell us about the lesson.
I will tell you about the lesson.
I don't have that lesson.
This is so interesting to me.
It could be in here in a different order, but it's
Yeah. Okay, but the reason this lesson caught my eye is because sometimes you feel like it's that you're writing the same old and you're reading the same old, and you want to refresh your writing and your settings, etc. But she gives you some suggestions for finding images literally and figuratively. So one of them, and I'm not going to read them all, of course, but one of them is stand in one place and look up, look down, turn around 360 degrees, looking as you turn. One of them is look in the dark, and one of them is look at shadows. And there's one glance out of the corner of your eye, which is a cool one. So just a different way to look at things. So that I think is a good thing. I mean, these are great lessons to help you improve your writing craft and your voice, especially. And I will talk about one other one. This one is in March. It's the first week of March. And the guideline for March, the whole month, is don't judge your writing, which is pretty cool. And then she has a whole
that's
thing.
the guideline. Okay, we got the same
Same
guideline.
guideline. Okay. And then the lesson for that first week is perfectionism. So we match up.
We match up on that one.
Oh gosh. Okay. And I really like this quote that she has in the book. Sorry, this is not the tip of the month, but it's just a cool quote that she has in the sidebar. A perfect poem is impossible. Once it had been written, the world would end, by Robert Graves. And that's kind of deep. Can you imagine? Anyway.
So my quote for that same page, Oscar Wilde. I was working on the proof of one of my poems all morning and I took out a comma. In the afternoon, I put it back in again. And I like, if you think about that, and we can, like, something will be perfect at one point and you read it again
Yeah.
later in the day, the next week. That's why I think they tell you sometimes when you're done with a script or whatever, set it aside, go do something else and come back. So you're looking at it with fresh eyes and it like changes things. Or like I said, like right now, I can tell my writing, my attitude is going with it, right? So maybe next month my attitude will be different and I'll read the same thing and I won't be writing about forlorn and things off in the distance. You know what I mean? Like maybe it'll be happy puppy dogs and rainbows. Who knows?
Well, I hope it is happy puppy dogs and rainbows and manatees. I hope it is.
I love manatees.
They are cool beasts. All right. So if you want a book that is going to help you improve your voice, and it's kind of like little mini workshops, it even says that on the back here. It says hundreds of rousing exercises, literary lore and legend, do it yourself mini workshops, and 365 writing topics guaranteed to nourish the writer in you every day of the year. So that's what this book is. And whether you woo woo or not, or just want to improve, like, I think it's a great book for craft and it's a great book for building habit. And if this is your year of building habit, no matter what year it is, this will be, I think, is a good book for you. And no matter which version you wind up.
I think the reason I like it is I don't normally like prompt books. I'm not a prompt book person. Like there are for some people, they're great and they love them. I am not that person. Like you open the page and okay, we'll just use this title as the prompt, right? Write about a writer's book of days. Like that's the prompt. And then it's a blank page with a bunch of lines. Or maybe they give you 2 pages or 5 pages, whatever. and then that's it. I'm not down with that. That is not my kind of book, right? However, this gives you a lesson and then a prompt while the lesson is still fresh in your little forehead to go along with the lesson you just had. So I like it in the fact that, yes, I'm getting a prompt, and no, I don't necessarily care for prompts like this, but the fact that she's teaching and she's not just giving her opinion, she's giving the quotes and opinions of others and how other successful writers have incorporated the lesson she just gave into their lives. I like this book and I'm enjoying going through it every day, even though it's taken me 2.5 years to pick it back up.
Some days, sometimes it bees like that.
Sometimes it does be.
All right. So we recommend you go out and get one for yourself. And we also
Can you
highly
still get your version?
you probably could. You could find
Okay.
it somewhere. It's
On
really
Amazon, I can only find this one. I may have to go to Thrift Books to find yours.
good.
Whatever. The point is, even though I have this one, hers is so different. I want them both.
Yes. And hers, the brand new one, the newer version rather, has got all the new writers' life stuff in it and new prompts, and it's all good stuff. And so go out, run out and get it wherever you buy your books. And we think you'll enjoy it. And speaking of recommendations, we recommend you like and subscribe on
We do.
whatever it is we're doing here. Anyway, take it, subscribe, and tell somebody so we'll get more viewers and we can get more features on our channel.
And then our links can be linky.
Yes, because now we just put it's just text.
No, it's just, you got to copy paste because we don't have enough people's.
But we really appreciate those of you who are subscribers and like us. And put up
Very tickled.
who knew? Okay. That's it for us today. Thank you very much and